What about my love? Wasn't it enough? Just let me know so I can
Matt Patricia is taking his stint from the NFL, coming all the way over to college football to be the new defensive coordinator for Ohio State. I know this is old news, but we had a little bit of time to marinate on this because it is important. My boy Jim Knowles went to Penn State, if you guys didn't hear, and I don't know how that's going to happen, but if you are considering that Jim Knowles is going to be bad, let me pull up his resume and Matt Patricia's resume from the last time that he was a defensive coordinator back in 2017. Jim Knowles, and these are overall defenses. Jim Knowles, when he got with Ohio State, 2022, 14th overall. 2023, 3rd overall. 2024, 1st overall. and people knew at Oklahoma State that he was the man. That's the reason why he got this job at Ohio State.
Yes.
Let's go over to Matt Patricia, 2015, 10th overall defense. 2016, 1st. 2017, 5th. Again, you can laugh at his stint with the Lions. You can laugh at his stint with with the Patriots as the offensive coordinator.
No, it was with Philly.
Or with Philly. We can laugh at all of this, right? But really and truly,
Matt defensive coordinator for the Patriots, though.
I mean, defense coordinator for the Patriots having these ranks it does give you a sense of hope. He needs to stay within his wheelhouse, which is defense, not head coaching, not being an offensive coordinator. And he's slowly figuring out that those two things don't mesh. So the question is, man, like, how well is he going to replace Jim Knowles? It's hard to say. Bill O'Brien was supposed to be their guy on offense. I wonder what it would have been like if Bill O'Brien was coaching there still as the offensive coordinator with Matt Patricia as a defensive coordinator. Old buddies rubbing elbows again, but yeah, Matt Patricia is the new DC for Ohio State. How we think he's going to do, fellas?
It's a big adjustment. You have to remember that the last time that Matt Patricia was involved in the college game was when Nick Saban won a national championship with LSU.
Yep.
At the end of the 2003 season. So it's been a while. And at that point, he was a grad assistant for, I think, Syracuse. So Matt Patricia's been away from the college game for a long time. Obviously, things are much different now than they were 22 years ago. So
see, my man lost a lot of weight.
He's got to adjust. He's got to be able to recruit in the portal. He's got to be able to recruit high schoolers. But Matt Patricia, I think, he's good enough on the X's and O's. He has experience in the NFL with, Super Bowl pedigree. I think that's going to be a very effective recruiting pitch. And I think that he's going to not only prepare his players for the NFL to be ready to play in an NFL defense, but I think that he is going to be an excellent defensive coordinator for Ohio State. They have excellent players. They recruit very well. I think that Matt Patricia's recruiting pitch is going to be very unique, as not many, Super Bowl winning DCs are coaching in the college game. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they're going, maybe there's a year or maybe even two of adjustment for Patricia. This defense may not be immediately as good as it was last year, but I think it could. I think it'll still be a top-notch side of the football, and I think it was a really good hire, especially considering the time they did it at. At this point in the season, most defensive coordinator hires had been filled, so they were late to the party, looking to fill their vacancy. And I think Matt Patricia, they couldn't have done any better, in my opinion.
Torque said, I'm shocked he's not in Chapel Hill in some capacity. I think it was all dependent on him getting a phone call if Steve Belichick wasn't going to take his stint from Washington and come over to, obviously, the North Carolina where he's at now with his dad. So, but that was just kind of a match made in heaven. I mean, if anybody was going to pull Steve away from Jed Fish, it was Bill. Because I think Steve was very comfortable with Washington and believing in Jed's system. and obviously they had a lot of success. Even we're Jedd Fisch guys here. Like, let's be honest, we are big fans of Jedd Fisch. We didn't expect that Washington was going to have the season that he was going to have. I mean, it was pretty successful. Them beating Michigan and, you know, of course, being above 500 was pretty awesome for them. So, but he says, I think this looks very similar to Wink Martindale at Michigan, which is probably where where they got the idea. Two former NFL guys, you know, duking it out. Pretty good idea. I mean, I guess if it works out like Wink Martindale has worked out with Michigan, then, you know, I don't think that this is a bad hire by any means, man. I really don't. But
no, I don't think it's a bad hire, especially when it's like, you know, you look at, you know, what you pulled up with the side by side last year. They were the first ranked defense, they being Ohio State with Jim Knowles. You know, this is still Ohio State. You're still going to reload. You're still going to get plenty of 5-star talent. Sure, you lost 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 and Jack Sawyer. You know, so you've lost a couple of people on that defensive side. But again, you're Ohio State. You're going to replenish. You still have Caleb Downs, who's kind of that centerpiece of the defense.
Right.
I mean, look at what, you know, Matt Patricia did with why can I not remember the safety now? They were brothers on the Patriots.
Oh, the McCourty twins.
Yeah, Devin and
exactly. And, you know, but like Patricia centered the defense around them as well.
Devin and Jason.
Yeah,
thank
Devin
you.
and
Yes.
Jason. Mm-hmm.
Somewhere my uncle was having a heart attack outside because I couldn't remember that. But you know, so you look at, you know, the stats that they have with the NFL. He's going to a team that constantly replenishes in just talent, both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. And again, if you're a young kid, it's kind of like with what it was with Saban. You know, you're a young kid, and Saban's telling you, listen, just wait. How Saban would be like, listen, just wait. But when your time comes and I call on you, it's because I know that I need you with your talent. It might be a minute.
Yeah.
You look at Patricia's record in the NFL, the Hall of Famers that he helped produce, the players that he turned into big names. You're a young kid. That's kind of where you want to go. You know he's got a resume. He's how many times did Patricia win a Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
He knows a thing or two.
Yeah, that's like I'm saying. It's like people laugh at the idea about Matt Patricia, but like the dude knows how to win, and he knows how to put premier talent where they need to be put. Caleb Downs and him together is, outside of Jim Knowles, you know, of course, which I think Jim was better at getting the front seven together better than he was the secondary. I mean, year after year after year, what was the most menacing part of Ohio State's defense? It was all, yeah, right. I mean, Denzel Burke and the boys had such a lot of hype, you know, had a lot of hype. Like Denzel Burke at one point was known to be the next best thing at Ohio State. And he's going to be maybe a day 3 guy on a lot of people's boards. Like, I mean, Davidson Igbinosa, let's give him some credit. Like that dude is otherworldly, and Caleb Downs was inherited. So, I mean, he was already a beast coming from Saban's system. But outside of that, man, I think Matt Patricia is going to be able to do work all over the place. And if he can get their secondary as good as their front seven has been, that's nasty work.
I think one player too that doesn't get as much hype, because obviously you do have Downs at safety and Igbinosa now at corner, but knowing that Patricia has coached linebackers before in New England, I'm looking at Sonny Styles, who's a very large and athletic linebacker. He was
especially with
as a
Ransom
safety.
being gone now.
I mean,
yeah.
Well, I mean, Ransom was a safety, but with Styles, you know, being recruited as a safety and playing linebacker. Well, I mean, Ransom was he played like the strong safety, so a lot closer to the box. Maybe a sub package linebacker, but Sonny Styles.
I could have sworn he had a good chunk of snaps in linebacker, but either way, continue.
He played that star role where you're playing nickel,
gotcha,
robber, safety, interior safety.
I also had thought at one point when they were doing introductions, it just showed his name and like linebacker, or even like when he was first invited to the Senior Bowl, it said linebacker.
Yeah, the star safety position gets confusing because it's all of that.
Ransom is typically used as safety, but Styles was moved to a traditional linebacker role because of his size and speed. He was able to make that transition from safety very naturally. And I think that he's really going to flourish in this system, especially, Dante, like you were saying, if they can shore up, that secondary, get back into the conversation for DBU, right? They were churning out defensive backs year in and year out. And, I know it's a heavily debated, title, but it's been a while since we've had, lockdown corners in Columbus who are constantly going in the first round. And I think that you maintain the pass rush is going to let Styles really eat at linebacker. I think he's going to be flying all over the field, making plays. You can be used as a Swiss Army knife due to his speed. And I think that he's someone who, if he's not in way too early 2026 first round mocks after this next season, I think that he's going to be a premier prospect in the draft. And Matt Patricia seems like the type of coach to identify that kind of elite talent and develop him into an NFL-ready prospect.
Yeah, for sure.